I just saw Dave Portnoy defending the U.S. men's Olympic hockey team, saying that women should not be mad at the hockey players for laughing at Donald Trump's sexist joke because the hockey players have actually been very supportive of the female athletes throughout the Olympics.
You know what I always find so crazy about this, because let's just get one thing straight before I start going on my rant, is I completely agree with her. For those who don't know, there's a viral clip right now that's quite cringe of Kash Patel and the men's hockey team laughing at a pretty misogynistic joke. And yeah, it was misogynistic, it was, immature, and yeah, I agree with that aspect. But here's one thing that I don't think people realize. Because like I said before I get into my little rant here, I don't want people thinking in any way I support what happened. I was literally in a video about being too woke as a liberal, so I'm definitely not somebody who supports this guy or anything that was in that video. But I don't think people realize how they think they could selectively be sexist. Even the girl who's making the video. The girl who's making the video is Mayor Haley, and I had just a hunch, a feeling, if you would say, that let's see if she contradicts herself, because I thought it was interesting that I agree. I think some people will sit there and say misogynistic things when they're in a social setting because they don't want to step up, they don't want to say something. And I said, let's see if this girl follows any, misandrous type of content that kind of does the same thing. And wouldn't you know it, she follows Drew Afuelo, someone who has made it very clear that they dislike and hate men.
Oh man, I'm like, I've never said that, but if the shoe fits, wear it. I don't give a fuck. But also, like, yeah, don't you? Haven't you ever spent time with one?
I don't know if you guys can see it at the bottom. She follows Chloe Juliet, a woman who participates and strongly pushes traditional gender roles where, the man does everything, the woman does nothing, the man's supposed to provide and do this. That is in some sense sexist. It might make you feel good because it's benevolent for you, but it is a sexist system that is treating you well. And of course, she follows MJ Gray, somebody who made a Tumblr page teaching women to extort and use men for their resources while, obviously participating in where the man's supposed to provide traditional gender norms. This is, again, sexist, despite, her also being somebody who is definitely not a who supporter. What I find interesting is not the criticism of what she was saying, but it's who people seem to be okay with participating in sexism. This content creator clearly has a problem with sexism and obviously hate towards women, but when it's in reverse and you're following women who have made it very clear that they hate all men, promote financial exploitation of men, promote rigid gender roles when it's financially beneficial towards them, then it is okay. Because I would argue if laughing at a sexist joke reveals these men's true character, then I would argue the same applies for somebody who heavily consumes content that is exploitive or obviously hating towards men. What's ironic is a lot of these anti-misogyny, content creators, they do promote, like, obviously men being providers, primarily being important because of the money and the resources that they can provide. Just overall being emotionally contempt towards men from the beginning. This is a typical thing that obviously these anti-misogynistic, content creators do, but in reality, it's because this is the area that they benefit in. But women like her in particular, I find very ironic, very contradictory, very hypocritical, if you would, because they will criticize the patriarchy while also monetizing the expectations that come from it. You can't argue that gender roles are oppressive while also teaching women how to financially benefit from them. Because people like her only recognize sexism when it targets their group and not when overall they're clearly participating in it. We're very good at spotting sexism when it is the one being directed at us. And maybe that's why I probably noticed this stuff and you probably didn't even think of this. Because more of the story here is sexism is wrong, whether it's men laughing at women or it's popular influencers that teach you to have a hatred or contempt towards men. You don't fix sexism by redirecting it. You fix it by not participating in it. But that's just my opinion, guys. But hey, what do you think?